Hello, I'm Tom Allen, editor at Computing, and I'm joined today by Marine Rabeyrin, who is the Education Segment Director for EMEA at Lenovo. We're going to be talking all about AI in education. Marine, could you introduce yourself for our audience,
Well,
please?
you said it well. First of all, the name was said perfectly well, even in English. So indeed, I'm working for Lenovo for many years now, mostly in the business area. And since a few years, I am responsible for the education segment, which means that I oversee the strategy that we have for education from a solution standpoint, from a services standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, but also from an engagement standpoint.
Perfect, thank you. And yes, of course, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to pronounce your name correctly, so I'm glad I nailed it first try. Marine, perhaps we could talk about, at the very start, why is AI a priority in education today?
I would say that even more than a priority, it's probably an imperative for two reasons that I have in mind. The first one is for me a question of the workforce readiness. So we see a change in the workforce demands and expectation, especially due to the introduction of Gen AI. There is a number of reports and studies, and I'd like to mention one, which is the World Economic Forum that is publishing a Future of Jobs report. And they mentioned that there will be more jobs that will be created and lost thanks to AI. But what I like to look at is also the fact that there will be an increasing demand in role like big data, so big data specialist, AI and machine learning specialist, all those type of jobs that require a different set of technology skills. And then, what we see also in this type of report is that the top skills that will be demand are now around AI, around big data, but also networks, around cybersecurity, and maybe even more interesting, the technology and AI literacy. And I find it most specifically interesting because it means that the expectation is not just for those who will be working and being dedicated to develop AI. It means that it's something required for all people working. So there is a common dictum in the professional world that says that AI won't take your job, but the person who knows how to use AI will. So this just illustrates somehow the expectation by employers that the people that will be working will be using AI, and more specifically Gen AI, to improve productivity and efficiency across, and this is something that we see across the globe. So in that perspective, schools need to adapt how they prepare this future workforce. But I would also say that beyond workforce, it's also about preparing future citizens. And I believe this is something we may talk about a bit later.
Fantastic. Very comprehensive answer, Marine. Thank you. I wonder if now you could touch on the different AI objectives we're seeing from stakeholders in education, and that could be students, teachers, AI developers, parents. There's a whole gamut of people who are involved in this space.
You named them, right? We see different type of stakeholders that will have to cope, let's say, with the introduction and the usage of AI. You mentioned them, students, teacher, or I would say educators in a broader sense, the administrators, so the education leaders, and also researcher. We could also name researcher, and each of them have a different state of maturity and different type of objective. Why are they using AI? Why are they interested in AI? About the educators, I would say it's about the same. How do they feel more and more equipped to use AI? So to teach with and to teach about AI, and making sure that they are fully comfortable with those tools, and how to embed that in their practice. If we talk about administrator, then it's something a little different, because on their side, not only they have to be fully equipped, but they also have to lead and share a vision of how AI is embedded in the school. So it's about also. So it's not just about literacy, but it's also about AI policy, AI governance, and how do they develop programs and certification to make sure that AI is used for the best, right? And maybe a last stakeholder would be the researchers, especially in higher education, where for them it's also about pioneering those solutions to see how much those technology can be used to advance research, advance studies. And for them as well, it's a lot about policy. It's a lot about governance, and more specifically data governance.
I wonder if you could tell us now about how Lenovo is implementing and working with AI in the education space responsibly.
Right. You mentioned it well. I believe for all the stakeholders I was mentioning before, there is two aspects that let's say underpin this those objective of AI adoption. Is one about the culture of AI. So is AI welcome, and is AI promoted in their institution, and how and probably linked to it is how are we making sure that the use of this technology is responsible and ethical? And before, if you don't mind, before mentioning what Lenovo is doing, I would also maybe mention something that can also enlighten this question, is the discrepancy we see between some of those stakeholders in the confidence they have in AI, especially when you compare the educators versus the administrators, so the education leaders. We see that there is a big discrepancy, almost 30%, if I recall correctly, in their perception of the current usage of AI in school or in the institution, and in their confidence in using those tools. So I believe this is something key to keep in mind, to make sure that if we want to implement an AI which is responsible, we should acknowledge the fact that teachers will play a big role in that, and teacher will have to be taken care of. So making sure that we really care about how a teacher feels empowered in using those technologies, so that they can also guide their students in a good usage of AI, a responsible usage of AI. So coming back to your question about how Lenovo is implementing AI, I think we have a role as an IT and IT solution and service provider, to support their journey, as I said before. It can take a different shape and form. Obviously, one is to value the technology that can be used. But more specifically, it's about showing what is possible. So explaining, being very pedagogical, if I can use this word for the education stakeholders, but about how, in reality, AI can be relevant in their journey. So it's about sharing best practice that we see across the world. It's also about supporting the institution in. I like to use the word journey, because I believe we need to adapt ourselves to where the institution stands. Some of them will be more mature than others. So we need to be there no matter where they are, in which step of their journey they are. Would it be just in a discovery phase, or in a already advisory phase, or even more mature implementation phase? So, and that's why, I'm coming back to what I said about the teachers. This journey cannot happen without the teacher, and we also can support in the way we question the culture that the institution has around AI, and make them decide how they want to support, promote, or control AI. But also we can support them in assessing the maturity of the teacher in their skills, to use AI, and by making a proper assessment, and then proposing training according to it.
Okay, so Marine, you talked about their teachers, and I think that's a really important point. I'd like to follow up on that with the last few minutes that we have, which is how are you at Lenovo helping teachers overcome barriers in AI use?
So it's really about first really understand where they are. So there is a number of tools that we have developed that helps to make that helps school to make their self-assessment. Would it be as an organization, but also with the educator community, to really understand, what is the gap? The gap in terms of skills, but also in terms of understanding of the AI, and then according to this type of assessment, then it's easier, to plan for to build a plan, and this plan, can embed training that we are also proposing to teachers, so that we really adapt and support teacher in their step-by-step approach in AI. So there is a big topic about how do we say it in English? Demystifying AI, making it concrete, and making sure that teachers feel confident that when they will be embedded AI in their teaching approach, that will be in a responsible manner. So in a way that is respectful of privacy, respectful of transparency, that is respectful of the impact on social and environmental aspects, and also respectful of inclusion and diversity, which I believe is something we all care, and I believe teacher cares even more.
Fantastic. Marine, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about Lenovo's use of AI in education, which is absolutely a critical sector that we need to get right. So fantastic, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Tom.